A very good morning. It's just past 8 this Friday morning and we're back again with Breakfast Show. Over the next 1 hour, we'll get you all the latest from the world of politics, business and sports. Also, we'll be getting you that big test match between India and New Zealand that's on. I'm Anil Thomas. With me this morning is Nancy Kohli. Good morning, Nancy.
Good morning, Anil. Yes, all the updates, in fact, from across the nation and the world. We'll get you all the coverage on that as well and what the national dailies are carrying as well. But first, a look at the top stories at the top of 8.
As US President Donald Trump all set to visit on 24th of February, the first standalone visit by US President to India, MEA says India-US trade growing at more than 10% per annum. Emphasizes that Trump's visit to India will strengthen global strategic ties.
The death toll due to novel coronavirus crosses 2,100 in China. South Korea confirms 52 more coronavirus cases, bringing total to 156 in the country. The WHO says no time for complacency as new coronavirus cases fall.
Iranians will vote in parliamentary elections today. Elections gain significance as Iran faces growing isolation and threats of conflict over its nuclear standoff with the United States amid rising discontent at home.
In cricket, India lose early wicket in the first test match against New Zealand in Wellington. Early New Zealand had won the toss and decided to bowl first.
And Maha Shivaratri being celebrated across the nation today. Maha Shivaratri is celebrated in honor of Lord Shiva and marks a remembrance of overcoming darkness and ignorance. And now for the stories in detail. What do we begin with, Nancy?
Absolutely. We're beginning with the President Trump's first visit to India, and that will be the first visit of President Trump to India. It's also going to be the first standalone visit by a US President to India. Now, President Trump's visit will be a brief one but intense, with all the essential elements of a state visit and 2 additional legs in Ahmedabad and Agra, all squeezed into less than 36 hours. Now, from the moment of the arrival at the airport a little before noon on 24th February, the delegates will be treated to a display of famed Indian hospitality and India's unity in diversity. Here's a report.
Fifth meeting in 8 months. Leader of the world's largest democracy hosting the leader of the world's oldest democracy. The host just rode back to power for the second term with a massive mandate. The guest heads for his first standalone bilateral visit this year when he seeks re-election for a second term. It was President Donald Trump's administration that saw India's relationship with the US evolve to one of the most consequential relationships of today. A strategic partnership based on shared values, geared towards 21st century, whether in countering terrorism or in ensuring a peaceful and prosperous Indo-Pacific. India and the US have unprecedented convergence of interests.
More than 60 dialogue mechanisms, including the 2+2 at the ministerial level, which has foreign minister and the defense minister. Biggest trading partner, biggest now emerging as a very vital partner in defense and security. It is like Afghanistan, our neighborhood. The Indo-Pacific construct is one of the important pillars of the foreign policy that has been unveiled by the Trump administration. The 2 leaders who have a very good chemistry between them, they meet 3 to 5 times a year. So that is the background in which the visit is taking place.
India has procured over $18 billion worth of defense items from the US which has enhanced defense preparedness significantly, as have frequent bilateral exercises with each other. The United States is India's largest trading partner in goods and services combined, and the overall bilateral trade increased by over 10% per annum over the past 2 years to reach a figure of $142 billion in 2018. It is expected to cross $150 billion for the first time this year. US is India's sixth largest source of crude oil imports, with hydrocarbon imports rising to $7 billion in the last 2 years. The size of Indian diaspora in the United States is estimated at around 4 million, with 1 million of NRIs. There are more than 200,000 Indian students in the US and a robust engagement among academics, scientists, professionals and other stakeholders. From Howdy Modi to Namaste Trump, the two leaders' joint appearances only grow bigger and grander. From the over 50,000 strong crowd in Houston to the nearly 1 lakh registrations for the Namaste Trump at Motera Stadium, the people-to-people connect continues to flourish under the leadership of Prime Minister Modi and President Trump.
The road show in Ahmedabad, I think that matters a lot, because he's a social media, savvy politician and populist, so he wants, to be glorified in front of a giant, global, audience. Prime Minister Modi knows how important domestic politics is for Trump's in his calculus, and both the Howdy Modi and the Namaste Trump in Ahmedabad, both of these signify that. The Indian diaspora, they have voted more for democratic candidates in the past.
For history aficionados, President Eisenhower in 1959, President Nixon in 1969, President Jimmy Carter in 1978, followed by President Bill Clinton in 2000, George W. Bush in 2006, and President Obama in 2010 and 2015. The increase in high-level engagements in the 21st century are a clear indicator of the upward trajectory in Indo-US ties. With Taposh Bhattacharya in Ahmedabad, Amritpal Singh, DD News, New Delhi.
President Trump and the First Lady will be staying at the ITC Moria in the national capital. Let's take a look at the arrangements being done for their grand welcome. American President Donald Trump on his maiden visit to India will have two stopovers, first in the city of Ahmedabad and then in Agra, and will finally end his day at the iconic hotel that you see behind me. This particular five-star hotel has been host to American presidents who have visited India. 3 previous presidents have stayed in this particular hotel, and Donald Trump becomes the 4th American president to stay in this particular five-star hotel.
The luxurious ITC Moria Hotel in Delhi is all set to host President Donald Trump. President Trump will stay at the hotel for 2 days, standing true to India's belief in Atithi Devo Bhava. ITC Moria is making sure that US President gets the best hospitality in the world. Designed like a Buddhist stupa, the ambience of this hotel reflects the heritage of India. President Trump will be staying in the 4,800 square feet super luxurious presidential suite that comes with attached a 12-seater dining hall, a study, a reception, a waiting area, drawing room, a gymnasium and a spa. There are silk paneled walls in the bedrooms. The suite has exclusive private entry and exit, separate high-speed elevator and a security system built with state-of-the-art modern technology.
Elaborate arrangements have been done by this particular five-star hotel to welcome the American President and the First Lady during their first visit to India. The two restaurants, Dampukht and Bukhara, are all geared up and excited to welcome the American President, and they have got a secret line of dishes that they're going to cater to the American President.
The hotel also houses restaurants like Dampukht and Bukhara that are known for serving the best of Indian delicacies. Bukhara had the honor of hosting former President Bill Clinton during his stay in India. These restaurants are known for serving dishes from around the world and their wonderful hospitality. As far as security is concerned, hotel staff will have to go through a thorough scanning. Personnel of Delhi Police, as well as elite security forces and the US Secret Services will be deployed at the hotel, as well as adjoining areas.
on now, the death toll in China continues to rise and has reached over 2,100, with over 75,000 reportedly infected with the coronavirus. The National Health Commission said that the number of newly discharged cases of the novel coronavirus has remained larger than that of the newly confirmed cases for 2 consecutive days in China. Meanwhile, the Diamond Princess cruise ship was carrying 3,700 people in total, and the passengers who tested negative for the virus began leaving the ship on Wednesday after a 14-day quarantine. Hundreds have now disembarked from the cruise the liner docked in Yokohama in Japan. Others are set to leave over the next 2 days. And back home, the External Affairs Ministry has said that the government is in touch with the Japanese authorities regarding reports of 8 Indians aboard the ship who are reportedly infected with the virus.
Meanwhile, India is sending an aircraft to evacuate those still remaining in Wuhan in China and to send medical supplies there. Earlier, the government had sent an aircraft and evacuated 640 Indians stuck in Wuhan. China, meanwhile, has praised India for the assistance in tackling and containing the virus. Indian government is closely monitoring the situation and taking all the necessary measures.
Meanwhile, South Korea has reported its first death from the new virus yesterday, while the mayor of a southeastern city of Daegu urged its 2.5 million people to stay inside as infections linked to a church congregation spiked. 90 people who worshipped at one church showed symptoms, and dozens of new cases were confirmed in the country, taking the total number of those infected to 156. The death was the 9th confirmed from the virus outside mainland China. Other deaths have occurred in France, Hong Kong, Japan, the Philippines and Taiwan. Following the advisory, the deserted shopping malls and streets of Daegu became one of the most striking images outside China of an outbreak. Meanwhile, China has expressed its willingness to strengthen communication and cooperation with South Korea in jointly coping with the epidemic. The Chinese president held a telephonic conversation with the South Korean president yesterday. Both the sides are willing to take the opportunity to enhance bilateral cooperation in the health field and looking forward to advancing the bilateral relations.
A continued decline in the number of new cases of coronavirus infections in China is encouraging. The World Health Organization, however, said it is too early to know if this trend will continue. WHO's Director General said that the trend is encouraging, but there is no time for complacency. The WHO is currently awaiting the results of 2 clinical trials for possible treatments to the virus, which will be ready in the next 3 weeks.
Moving on now, the Army Chief General Manoj Mukund Narawane has said that terror incidents have seen a downturn and the Army is maintaining pressure on the terror groups in Jammu and Kashmir. In a reference to the ongoing Financial Action Task Force plenary meeting, the Army Chief said there is an external dimension to the decrease in the cross-border terror. He also added that Pakistan may have to rethink its strategy, as even China realized that they cannot back their all-weather friend all the time. Besides that, he also said that the force has been championing gender equality, and the Supreme Court order granting permanent commission to women officers will give it a lot of clarity moving forward.
आर्मी में, सेना में किसी भी प्रकार का भेदभाव नहीं होता, या तो वो जाति पर हो या लैंगिक हो, और सेना और फौज हमेशा इस बारे में आगे रही है। और इसी संदर्भ में मैं कहना चाहूँगा कि सबसे पहले आर्मी ही है जिन्होंने जवानों के रैंक में महिलाओं को भर्ती किया है सीएमपी में, और हम इसी तरह आगे भी जेंडर इक्वालिटी के ऊपर जोर देते रहेंगे।
In a major breakthrough, India's proposals to include some endangered species in the CMS COP13 appendix was accepted by all the 130 countries present at the Convention of Migratory Species at Gandhinagar without opposition. The proposals would now be adopted at the plenary convention.
In a major breakthrough, India's proposals to include the endangered mainland Asian elephant, the critically endangered Great Indian Bustard and the Bengal florican in CMS COP13 appendix was accepted by all 130 countries present at the Convention of Migratory Species at Gandhinagar without opposition. The proposals have been recommended for adoption at the plenary convention, but in the absence of any opposition, this is now a formality.
3 important species which are already listed in the Wildlife Protection Act, has received the approval from the CMS countries for listing in Appendix 1 and 2. The three species are namely the Indian elephant, what we call as Asiatic elephant. The second one is the Great Indian Bustard, and the third one is the Bengal florican. So now we understand that with the listing of these species, we will be getting all support from the CMS as an overarching body, and also from the parties who are member of CMS, so that these animals, because they visit these some other countries, will also now be in a position to conserve the way that the same was being done in our country.
60% of mainland Asian elephants are found in India, and the species has been enlisted as endangered in the International Union for Conservation of Nature since 1986, a victim of habitat loss and increasing human-elephant conflict. The Great Indian Bustard, whose population has dwindled to around 150 individuals in India, is persecuted by hunting in Pakistan. And the Bengal florican has a population of less than 1,000 birds, struggling to survive amidst habitat loss in India and Nepal.
These three species are really treasures of Indian biodiversity. India has an amazing richness of biodiversity. It's a unique country, in fact, and that's why, I mean, people have been flocking from all over the world here in Gandhinagar for COP13, which is being the largest ever had within CMS, thanks to the amazing effort of the Indian government.
Some of the other key proposals which have been recommended for adoption to the plenary of the convention to be held on February 22nd are the inclusion of the jaguar in Appendix 1 and 2 and the inclusion of oceanic white tip shark in Appendix 1 of the convention.
India's effort to preserve the three species, the Great Indian Bustard, the Asiatic elephant and the Bengal florican, have bore fruit. Now these species have been included in the Appendix 1 and Appendix 2 of the CMS COP13. What that means is that they will not just enjoy government protection in India, but also internationally they will be protected. And that will go a long way from saving them from extinction. With cameraman Rakesh, this is Tapush Bhattacharya, TD News, Gandhinagar.
In some other news now, the festival of Maha Shivaratri is being celebrated with great enthusiasm across the country today. On this day, devotees worship Lord Shiva, observe a fast and perform various religious activities. According to the Hindu calendar, the festival is celebrated in the Falgun and the Shravan months. It is believed that Goddess Parvati and Lord Shiva were married on this day. On the occasion of Maha Shivaratri, a temple of Lord Shiva inside the premises of Sant Hiradharam Nagar police station in Bhopal's Bairagarh has been renamed as Thaneshwar Mahadev Mandir. In Karnataka, a 25 feet tall Shivling at the Brahma Kumaris in Kalaburgi has been decorated with around 300 kilogram pigeon peas. And let's go across now to our correspondents. Deepak Jain is joining us from Ujjain, and of course we'll be going across to our another correspondent as well in just a bit.
Harikesh will be joining us from Varanasi. There, two correspondents joining us to discuss on this particular story. We've got Deepak Jain joining us. Jain joining us this morning. Deepak, good morning. Deepak, give us the significance of this festival and how is it celebrated differently in Bhopal?
बिल्कुल जिस तरीके से देखिए शिवरात्रि का ये जो महापर्व है विशेष तौर पर भोपाल की बात की जाए मध्य प्रदेश में चूंकि दो ज्योतिर्लिंग हैं ओमकारेश्वर और उज्जैन है तो ऐसे में मध्य प्रदेश में इस पर्व को लेकर काफ़ी ज़्यादा लोगों में हम इस समय पे भोजपुर का जो मंदिर है यहाँ पर 12वीं शताब्दी का ये मंदिर है, कहीं ना कहीं बहुत बड़ा महत्व रखता है क्योंकि विश्व के सबसे बड़े शिवलिंगों में से एक जो है वो यहाँ पर स्थापित है। तो ऐसे में अगर इस शिवलिंग की अगर बात की जाए तो उसके दर्शन के लिए बड़ी संख्या में जो लोग हैं वो पहुंचते हैं। आज की अगर बात करें तो विशेष तौर पर महाशिवरात्रि के पर्व के लिए 5 लाख से ज्यादा श्रद्धालु जो हैं वो यहाँ पर पहुंच रहे हैं। और चूंकि ये पूरा का पूरा एरिया जो है ये आर्कियोलॉजिकल सर्वे के अंतर्गत आता है, ऐसे में इस शिवलिंग को संरक्षित रखने के लिए लोगों को दर्शन के लिए भर दिया जाता है। लेकिन इस शिवलिंग के पास एक शिवलिंग बनाया गया है।
All right, we'll try and reconnect with the correspondent Deepak Jain in just a bit. He was telling us about the importance of today because it's Maha Shivaratri and how the devotees there across the country are celebrating this auspicious day in their own unique way. In fact, it's a day of devotion, dedication that we'll all see in the air today, and at the temples as well, because devotees that have been thronging to the temple since early morning and paying obeisance to Lord Shiva on this auspicious day. It is believed that on this day Lord Shiva and Goddess Parvati got married.
Well, taking that story forward, let's now take a look at what's happening in neighboring Nepal. Meanwhile, the festival of Maha Shivaratri is also being celebrated with religious fervor and gaiety in Nepal. Thousands of devotees are offering prayers at various Shiva temples since early morning. All 4 doors of the famous Pashupatinath temple in the capital Kathmandu are open since 3 a.m. Amid chants of Om Namah Shivaya, hundreds of Naga Babas and thousands of Sadhu Sannyasis are performing special rituals in temple premises. Over 1 million devotees from Nepal, India and other countries are expected to offer prayers on Maha Shivaratri. Pashupatinath area near the temple has made elaborate arrangements and the first time the temple has been decorated with specifically imported flowers. Around 200 artists from Delhi have made beautiful figures of Lord Shiva, Ganesha and Nandi. The figures made of colorful flowers are attracting most of the devotees.
And moving on now to weather reports. Well, after isolated light rain and thunder showers late last night, Delhi is likely to see more rain today, but weatherman predicted it will stay scattered. The Met Department has further added that the strong surface winds are expected during the day as well. It also said that the maximum temperatures will be around 24 degrees Celsius, while the minimum will hover around 13 degrees Celsius. Further, the Met Department said that between Thursday and Saturday, scattered to fairly widespread rain and thunder showers are expected over Punjab, Haryana, Chandigarh, Delhi and Uttar Pradesh. Meanwhile, Mandal village in Shimla in Himachal Pradesh received snowfall today.
Well, moving ahead for these many days, we are telling you about the success achieved by the ambitious soil health card schemes across the nation. Today, we present you a story of the Rang district of Assam, how the scheme is benefiting the farmers out there in this ground report.
Land is the most inevitable part when it comes to agriculture. Land provides all elements to the crop that are required for its growth. But nowadays, it is prominent that the size of cultivable land is squeezing. Also, the fertility of the land is going down for various reasons. In such, there is a need to look after the health of the land so that the use of land can be optimized. To serve the purpose, Government of India initiated the scheme Soil Health Card, under which the health of agricultural land can be measured for its required treatment to get maximum output from it. Under the scheme, around 40,733 farmers in Darang district of Assam have been issued soil health card.
As we know that the size of land is squeezing every day due to increase in population, which has caused scarcity of foods. Day by day, the yielding capacity of our land is also going down. We are using the fertilizers in our land as per the quantity mentioned in the card, and it has helped us a lot. Now I can support my family well. We are really grateful to the government for providing us this card. We have received seeds and various other supports too from the government.
I have received the soil health card. Now I am aware about the quantity of fertilizers to be used in my land. Earlier it was difficult to know about the exact quantity of fertilizers that to be used. Now it is not an issue anymore as everything is mentioned there in the card. We are highly benefited from it. At this moment we are engaged in the farming of various crops in the district of Darang.
By the ambitious Soil Health Card scheme, farmers of Darang district are reaping benefits and increasing their yield. Ground Report Desk, DD News.
Shyama Prasad Mukherjee Rural-Urban Mission is resonating across the rural areas of the nation. How is this scheme working in the Jind district of Haryana? Let's take a look at this ground report.
Shyama Prasad Mukherjee Rural-Urban Mission is beneficial for the villagers. The objective of this scheme is to provide all basic facilities at the village level on the lines of cities. The scheme has been started in 15 villages in Jind district of Haryana. So far, development work of worth rupees 5 crore 17 lakh and 16,000 have been done in the district.
श्यामा प्रसाद मुखर्जी योजना रूअर्बन की जो योजना है ये गांव को शहर की तर्ज पे काम करना है, शहरों के जैसे गांव दिखने चाहिए। इस योजना का मुख्य उद्देश्य ये है जो शहरों में सुविधाएं मिल रही हैं वही ग्रामीण क्षेत्र के लोगों को इसकी सुविधाएं मिलनी चाहिए।
Under the mission, solar panels have been installed in all the schools of these villages, which has also reduced the electricity bill. Besides this, basketball court and community centers are also being constructed. The objective of this scheme is thus to provide all the basic facilities in the village like cities, so that further migration could be prevented.
ये पंडित श्यामा प्रसाद मुखर्जी रूरल स्कीम के तहत जो हमारे गांव में विकास कार्य किए जा रहे हैं उसका मुआयना करने के लिए हम यहाँ पहुँचे हैं और यहाँ पर कार्य जोरों शोरों से चल रहा है। इससे ग्रामीणों को बहुत लाभ मिल रहा है। जैसे यहाँ पर एक हाडा रोड हुआ करती उसमें भी बहुत गंद है, कुत्ते वगैरह गाय भैंस ऐसे ही गिर आते थे। अब उसके साथ मतलब दीवार निकालने के साथ वो आने जाने वाले को भी कोई दिक्कत नहीं होती।
Under the scheme, many development works in the village are in progress in order to give villagers all the facilities required. Ground Report Desk, DD News.
And let's now move on to some international news. Well, Iranians sought hope for their future and an improved economy as voting for Iran's parliamentary election begins today. And today's vote will see 7,148 candidates vetted by Iran's unelected religious and legal authorities compete for 290 seats. The election will have no major influence on foreign affairs or Iran's nuclear policy, which is determined by the Supreme Leader Ayatollah Al-Khamenei, whose hardline loyalists are likely to dominate the parliament. But much of country's youth, particularly in the capital Tehran, plan to stay at home, foreshadowing what's expected to be the lowest voter turnout in years. With Iran facing growing isolation and threats of conflict over its nuclear standoff with the US amid rising discontent at home, the turnout is seen as a referendum on the establishment, a potential risk for the authorities.
Meanwhile, the United States on Thursday blacklisted 5 Iranian officials, accusing them of preventing free and fair elections. The Treasury Department said in a statement it imposed sanctions on the officials, the members of Iran's Guardian Council and its election supervising committee over the council's role in disqualifying several thousand candidates. The sanctions freeze any US held assets of the officials and generally bar Americans from doing business with them.
The Financial Action Task Force plenary meeting is expected to conclude today with the official announcement on keeping Pakistan in the grey list. And Pakistan has already missed 3 consecutive deadlines to improve its counter-terror financing operations in line with an internationally agreed action plan. And therefore, at the end of the 5-day FATF Paris plenary session today, it is likely to miss the deadline for the 4th time. Yet indications suggest that it will remain on the grey list and not move to the higher rung, the blacklist, where the task force has put Iran and North Korea.
The Supreme Court of Bangladesh has ordered the country's leading mobile phone operator, Grameenphone, to pay Taka 1,000 crores to Bangladesh Telecom Regulatory Commission by Monday. The court on November 24th last year had ordered that particular Grameenphone company to pay Taka 2,000 crore of audit objections to BTRC within 3 months. But the mobile phone operator was willing to pay Taka 100 crores within the time and continued negotiations with BTRC. The BTRC had conducted 2 audits in 2016 and calculated the outstanding revenues of the operators. Based on the audit report, BTRC claims that GP owes it Taka 12,579 crores. According to BTRC, the dues include amounts occurring on account of dodging of revenue shares, taxes and late fees accumulated until December 2014.
German President Frank-Walter Steinmeier emotionally paid his respects at 2 locations in Hanau, where a gunman with suspected far-right link shot dead 9 people a day earlier. Tobias R. killed 9 people, some of them migrants from Turkey, in an overnight rampage through the city before killing himself. His mother was also found dead in his residence, bringing the death toll to 11. The federal prosecutors said that they had taken charge of the case due to its likely extremist motive. Earlier, German Chancellor Angela Merkel said there were many signs that accused had acted out of racism. Thousands of people have attended vigils in Hanau and cities across Germany. Meanwhile, Turkey says at least 5 of the dead were Turkish citizens. The Turkish President Erdogan has said he expected Germany to throw light on all the aspects of the attack.
A federal judge, Amy Berman Jackson, on Thursday sentenced President Donald Trump's longtime advisor, Roger Stone, to 3 years and 4 months in prison for lying to Congress and tampering with a witness in an effort to protect Trump. Stone was convicted of lying to the Intelligence Committee about his attempts to contact WikiLeaks, the website that released damaging emails about Trump's 2016 Democratic election rival, Hillary Clinton, that U.S. intelligence officials have concluded were stolen by Russian hackers.
As euthanasia bill moves ahead in Portuguese Parliament, the decriminalization of euthanasia and assisted suicide is a step closer to becoming a reality in Portugal. The move was applauded by many but opposed by religious groups and conservatives. The lawmakers in Parliament cast their votes on 5 proposals, including the ruling socialists, to legalize the practices in certain cases and under strict rules. Now, hundreds of Portuguese, old and young, protested against the bill outside Parliament.
Public school teachers in Colombia launched a 2-day strike to protest violence against the profession and killing of activists and other community leaders, leaving more than 7 million children without classes. The action is part of the 3-month-old protest organized by unions and student groups against the social and economic policies of President Ivan Duque. The largest teachers union in the country, the Colombian Federation of Education Workers, said that 3 lakh teachers are taking part in the 2-day strike.
2 Turkish soldiers lost their lives and another 5 wounded in Syrian government air raids on Thursday near the northwest region of Idlib. The Turkish Defense Ministry said that more than 50 Syrian forces were killed in retaliation. The attacks came a day after President Erdogan warned of an imminent Turkish military offensive in Idlib, where Syrian forces backed by Russia air power mounted an operation to capture the region. The Turkish forces and Syrian rebels fought government troops in northwest Syria yesterday, and the Russian warplanes struck back in a sharp escalation of an already intense battle over the last rebel bastions. Earlier talks between Moscow and Ankara, who backed different sides in Syria's 9-year-old war, had failed to reach a compromise to ease the fraught situation and head off a direct confrontation between them in Aleppo and Idlib provinces. And after all that news from around the world, let's in fact get you news from the world of finance and economy.
Well, first up in finance is RBI coming up with a national strategy for financial inclusion 2019 to 2024, aimed at providing access to formal financial services in an affordable manner. It aims to promote financial literacy among customers. The Financial Inclusion Advisory Committee of the RBI has recommended universal access to financial services, wherein every village should have access to a formal financial service provider within a 5-kilometer radius. Customers may be onboarded through an easy and hassle-free digital process. This includes increasing banking outlets of commercial banks. Further, digital financial services have to be strengthened in all Tier 2 and Tier 6 centers to help the cashless society by March 2022. The plan aims to provide basic financial services, savings account, credit micro life and non-life insurance products, pension products and a suitable investment product to every eligible adult. To achieve this, every adult enrolled under the Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana should be enrolled under an insurance scheme and a pension scheme by the end of March.
The Department of Telecom will bar telecom vendors of those countries that would disallow or exclude Indian suppliers from providing network gears used for Wi-Fi, fixed line and cellular networks, including 5G services in the respective local markets, according to an official order. The order is part of government's Public Procurement Order 2017, which envisages to source domestically manufactured products to encourage Make in India. The Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade identifies DOT as the nodal department for implementing the provisions related to procurement of goods, services or works related to the telecommunication sector.
Well, after a look at all that's taking place in the world of business, it's time now to take a look at all that's making news in the world of sports.
Absolutely, and first let's talk about India whitewashing New Zealand in the 5-match T20 internationals, and the hosts who returned their favour in the ODIs. Now the two teams thus stand equal as they play against each other in the first test of the 2-match series. As New Zealand won the toss and elected to bowl first, Tim Southee bowled Prithvi Shaw, while debutant Jamieson removed Pujara Kohli in quick time. The last time India toured New Zealand was way back in 2014 when the Black Caps defeated India 1-0 in the 2-match test series. Now in the last 20 years, India have played New Zealand only thrice in a test series.
Well, India, they're in a precarious position at 121 for the loss of 5 wickets. Well, staying with cricket, Indian women's cricket team, they will be in action today. They will be taking on defending champions Australia in the opening match of the ICC T20 World Cup opener in Sydney. The match will begin at 1:30 p.m. Indian time. In the recently held tri-series in Australia, India had reached the final. Indian Eves won and lost a game against the more accomplished England and Australia before losing to the mighty hosts, who have won the T20 World Cup for a record 4 times out of the 6 editions held so far. India's middle order and lower order needs to do a lot of better than what it did to beat the likes of Australia and England in the knockout stages. The team needs to ensure that the frequent middle order collapses are not repeated in the showpiece event. The squad is expected to reach the last 4 as it had 2 years ago, but the growing women's game in India will get a further fillip only if they go all the way to lift the title.
In more sports news now, Divya Kakran led the pack with a stunning performance before Sarita Moore and Pinky grabbed gold in the respective categories as India dominated the opening day of women's competition at the Asian Wrestling Championship in New Delhi. Before this, India had won only one gold at the Senior Asian Championships women's event through Navjot Kaur in Bishkek, Kyrgyzstan in 2018.
Host India would look to continue their fine form when they take on title holders Australia in their next International Hockey Federation Pro League tie in Bhubaneswar today. India have made an excellent start to their maiden FIH Hockey Pro League season and are currently sitting third in the table with 8 points from 4 games. Few would dispute that India, coached by former Australian international Graham Reid and captained by newly crowned FIH Men's Player of the Year Manpreet Singh, are playing their best hockey in recent years. It will also be India's penultimate home tie at the Kalinga Stadium before they embark on a series of away games. But past records and statistics don't look promising for the hosts, as Australia have an outstanding recent record against India.
And with that, let's now move on to our next segment, the morning print, to get a glimpse of what the national dailies are carrying this morning. We are beginning first with this news on President Trump's India visit, and this is being carried by the Indian Express, and it talks of Trump-Modi bilateral on 25th of February. Packs being readied, homeland security to facilitation of trade, and this also talks about how the India and the US are readying at least 5 packs on homeland security, trade facilitation and IPR ahead of the bilateral meeting between Prime Minister Modi and President Trump on 25th of this month. While the pact on homeland security will tackle the counter-terror cooperation, the trade facilitation pact would look at providing a single window system for the US firms wanting to do business in India.
All that to be packed in less than 36 hours of
yeah.
time. That's going to be interesting. Well, moving ahead to the next story that we picked from the Times of India, this is about the Supreme Court will listen more keenly if the roadblocks there in Shaheen Bagh are resolved. The Supreme Court appointed mediators on Shaheen Bagh have told the protesters very clearly that the issue of the road blockade needs to be resolved and may have a bearing on how the Supreme Court would consider the larger issues, including how such protests are seen. So it's a clear-cut message that the interlocutors are giving to the protesters there, telling them the way ahead. They need to remove or stop that blockade there, or get over that long, process that they are having, their protest that they are having there since December 15 to end, for some kind of clarity to come and some kind of, a sense of understanding that the Supreme Court takes in taking the matter forward and giving some kind of, hearing to their pleas that the people are put up in Shaheen Bagh.
Yes, in fact, in more news, Anil, from the Statesman.
Well, exactly. The next paper that we picked today is the Statesman on the front page, where the Army Chief General M.M. Narawane clearly stating that the force has championed gender equality and the Supreme Court order granting permanent commission to women officers, and it will bring a lot of clarity moving forward on that particular story. Remember, the Supreme Court on Monday had directed that women officers in the Army be granted permanent commissioning and commanding positions. So the Indian Army has clearly gone ahead, and now the Indian Army has taken the initiative to now induct women in rank and file, and the first batch of 100 women officers there, or 100 women soldiers undergoing training there in the military police center, and clearly taking one step forward and seeing to it that there is gender equality being created in the forces too.
Absolutely. Let's get you more news now from Hindustan Times, and this is once again on the US President's India visit, and this is talking about Melania Trump to attend happiness class at a government school in Delhi. Yes, the US First Lady Melania Trump is likely to visit a Delhi government school on 25th to interact with students being taught the happiness curriculum introduced by the government here. And in fact, like we have mentioned earlier, the US President Donald Trump and his wife will arrive in India on 24th of February for a 2-day visit. And towards the end, we are getting you a story from Indian Express, and this talks about for producing key drug ingredients, government plans to revive the old pharma units. Now, the government is planning to revive the old drug manufacturing units that produced key ingredients for crucial medicines in the past but are now being imported from China. And China contributes to almost 70% of India's imports of free ingredients for medicines. The move is significant in the backdrop of the coronavirus outbreak in China and disruption of the global supply chains. And over the last 3 decades, most of the 7 to 8 manufacturing plants producing as many as 20 ingredients was shut down due to cheaper alternatives from China. But it seems likely now that these units will now be revived, keeping in view the necessity for such medicines.
Well, why this particular official backing is a must? Because China was able to build cost-effective pharmaceutical ingredients capabilities due to its various initiatives like cheap land and electricity. Maybe a step in the right direction.
Yeah.
India too taking a cue from there and trying to build on those particular old pharma firms.
Right, with that, it's a wrap on the morning print for now. Let's move on now to history of the day, taking a look back at significance of this day in history.
On this day in 1821, Rani Chennamma, Queen of Kittur and one of the first female rural, died in Belgaum, district of Karnataka. It was on this day in 1894, Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar, a well-known Indian scientist, a professor of chemistry and the first chairman of the University Grants Commission, was born in Bhera, Shahpur, now in Pakistan. He was the first Director General of the Council of Scientific and Industrial Research, and he was revered as the father of research laboratories. On this day in 1896, Surikant Tripathi Nirala, one of the most famous figures of modern Indian literature, was born in Midnapur, West Bengal. It was on this day in 1999, Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee and Pakistan Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif signed the Lahore Declaration, embodying their shared vision of peace and stability between their countries and of progress and prosperity of their peoples.
Well, after a look at history, it's time now to come back to the present and take a look at the events listed for today.
President Ramnath Kovind to begin a 2-day visit to Karnataka, during which he will inaugurate the 4th edition of the Huddle, a 4-day program being organized by the Hindu newspaper group on 22nd February. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh to hold the Bhumi Pujan ceremony of the Thal Sena Bhavan in New Delhi cantonment. The Union Minister for Food Processing Industries, Harsimrat Kaur Badal, to inaugurate 3-day Organic Food Festival in New Delhi. The 21st Bharat Rang Mahotsav, India's biggest theatre festival organized by National School of Drama, to be concluded.
And let's now move on, get your health story of the day. And today we are focusing on wisdom teeth, which are the third and final set of molars that most people get in the late teens or early 20s. Now, sometimes these teeth can be a valuable asset to the mouth when healthy and properly aligned, but more often they are misaligned and require removal.
Wisdom tooth can prove problematic for many people. Wisdom teeth are the final teeth to erupt. They usually come in when a person is in the late teens or early 20s. Wisdom teeth commonly affect other teeth as they develop, becoming impacted and coming in the sideways.
There are 32 teeth. Out of 32, these days we observe only 28 teeth. 4 are not seen. Why? Because the jaw size is reduced these days, and this reduction is because of dietary habits. These days the growth centers in jaw, they do not activate because of soft diet, and that's why there is lack of room, lack of space in the jaw, and these wisdom tooth, the last ones, they are not able to adjust themselves in the space, so they are impacted. You get recurrent infection in the third molar area, means the wisdom tooth, they are erupting, but they are giving trouble to you. Every time there is swelling, lot of pain is there. So if this happens, you will have to visit a dentist for this.
They can also cause problems as many people don't have enough room in their mouth for the wisdom teeth.
They damage the tooth which is just in front of that. That means the second molar, they are affected. If they are tilted, a little bit tilted, then food is lodged in between and they damage not only the wisdom tooth but also the tooth which is adjacent to that. So in that case, to save the second molar, the one which is just adjacent to it, it has to be extracted out. Moreover, they, because of their position, they cause damage to the mucosa, gum mucosa, they cause ulcers. If they are tilted towards cheek, there is cut in cheek, and that can convert into other problems also. So to avoid that, you must visit a dental surgeon, and if it is required, it will be extracted.
If the wisdom tooth is not impacted or has already come above the surface, the surgery can be done by the dentist. Some dentists or oral surgeons may recommend wisdom teeth extraction even before the problem develops. Kiran Bhardwaj, DD News.
Well, moving to our Good News India story, Koshish or Attempt is the name of a social welfare group started by some women in Jharkhand's capital Ranchi for the last 5 years. This Koshish has been pursuing the worthy cause of bringing specially abled children into the national mainstream by making them self-reliant. Let's take a look.
तस्वीरों में दिख रहे ये बच्चे खास हैं। खास इसलिए नहीं कि ये मंदबुद्धि हैं, बल्कि इसलिए कि इनमें हुनर और सीखने का वो जज्बा है जो आम बच्चों में नहीं पाया जाता। हाथ से कलाकृतियां बनाना हो, गणित के सवाल हो या फिर खेल कूद, सभी में.
And we'll get you in fact more story from Good News India segment. We'll just be getting you in a short while from now. We're talking about
talking about that particular story on Koshish, in an attempt there in the Jharkhand capital city of Ranchi, where women are social welfare who coming together and putting things together, helping kids there for the last 5 years.
Especially able children, in fact, more specifically, bringing them into national mainstream by making them self-reliant. Let's take a look at the story.
The children in these images are special, not because they're specially abled, but because they have the will and determination to learn and pick up skills which most children are unable to muster. Be it making handicrafts, solving maths problems, or playing different sports, these children possess impressive skills. So much so that 3 of these children have won medals at the 2018 Paralympics as well. Koshish or Attempt is not only an organization, it's a mission which has been started by a group of women whose own children are specially abled.
यहाँ पे हम लोग बच्चों को हर तरह का वोकेशनल ट्रेनिंग देते हैं। कंप्यूटर में वो लोग लिखना पढ़ना सीख रहे हैं, टाइपिंग करना, फिर जेरोक्स मशीन में हम लोग उन लोग को जेरोक्स फोटोकॉपी करवाते हैं। बच्चों को वोकेशनल में बैग बनाना, इनहेलर बनाना, दिया पेंटिंग करना, और ये सब चीज़ हम लोग मार्केट में भी चाहते हैं कि बिके। कहीं एक सोवा मेला वगैरह होता है, उसमें हम लोग मेला में स्टॉल लगाकर इसको भेजते हैं। बच्चे वहाँ पर उसको बिक्री करते हैं, उनको उसमें बहुत आनंद आता है।
In Ranchi alone, there's no dearth of children who are unable to get in touch with organizations like Koshish because of the lack of awareness of their parents. Koshish members go from door to door to include such children into their family. An initiative that began with just 4 to 5 children has now expanded to as many as 30, all learning how to lead better lives. The initiative gives all-round satisfaction not only for those who derive the benefits of the effort, but also those who contribute to it, making it an effective model to be replicated in other cities in the country. With Avdesh Gautam and Divakar Kumar in Ranchi, Bureau Report, DD News.
Moving on now, Karnataka is situated in the southwestern region of India and has made tremendous progress in the field of education, agriculture, literature and tourism, as well as known for varieties of cuisine. Now, Karnataka is famous for an ultimate culinary journey. Various types of bhat are popular in South Karnataka, whereas North Karnataka food is much spicier in comparison to other parts of Karnataka. Palm jaggery is an important ingredient in Karnataka's cuisine, and meals are served on a banana leaf. Take a look at that.
All over the world, Karnataka is identified with ragi balls. Made from ragi flour, this is a staple food in Karnataka region. Ragi mudde, as it is called, is simple to make and can be called the 2-minute dish of Karnataka. No oil or spices are used for making ragi balls. They have high protein and nutrient value. Due to its nutrient value, people with diabetes prefer it instead of rice or wheat-based food nowadays. Preparation of ragi mudde is easy. Ragi flour is added to boiling water while stirring continuously, usually with a wooden stick. It is cooked in medium to high flame. As the mixture thickens, the ragi mixture is beaten so that no lump is formed. Then the vessel is taken down from the stove and rounded with bare but wet hands as per the required size. The ragi balls are to be swallowed and not chewed. It is swallowed after dipping in sambar, saru or chutney. Ragi mudde can also be eaten with buttermilk. Ragi mudde, basaru is popular combination among the farming communities in Karnataka.
रागी मुद्दी है वो काफ़ी हेल्दी होता है और ये जिनके बीपी की प्रॉब्लम है, जिन प्रोटीन की कमी है, तो वो सब इस चीज़ को ट्राई कर सकते हैं। ये काफ़ी हेल्दी होता है, इसमें बिल्कुल भी ऑयल का यूज़ नहीं होता है।
ये यहाँ का जो हेल्दी डाइट है, जो हेल्थ पर्पस में भी जो फ़ायदा करता है, वो रागी के नाम से जाना जाता है। रागी की डिश जो है, रागी का मुद्दा बनता है, रागी की और भी जो डिशेस बनती हैं, वो हेल्थ ऑफ दृष्टिकोण से बहुत फ़ायदे की रहती है, जो कि डायबिटिक पेशेंट के लिए बहुत शुगर कंट्रोल करती है, हार्ट पेशेंट के लिए कोलेस्ट्रॉल कम करती है। हेल्दी डाइट्स के रूप में ये मुद्दा रागी का जो है खाया जाता है।
Another food item which has geographical tag is Madur Vada. Madur is a place in Mandya district in the state. The vada, which is popularly called Madur Vada, is supposedly originated here, but it is a very popular snack for the tea time. As with ragi balls, Madur Vada is also very easy to make. While ragi mudde is eaten as lunch and dinner, Madur Vada is crunchy snack munched during tea time or as a side dish.
Well, in a bid to provide international recognition to country's traditional legacy of arts and crafts, Union Ministry of Minority Affairs has organized skill fair named Hunar Haat on the lawns of India Gate. It not only provides vantage perspective of rich culture, but also crystals the idea of Ek Bharat, Shresth Bharat. Let's see more in this special report.
Over 1,000 artisans, craftsmen flocked to the national capital to showcase their beautiful handmade products at Hunar Haat. The 10-day skill festival was inaugurated on February 13 and was based on the theme of Kaushal Ko Kaam.
Hunar Haat is a program of Ministry of Minority Affairs. It has been organized from 2016 and it is a great platform for the artists and artisans. Here I have been showcasing my artwork on feathers. Artwork from different states have been over here. You can find from West Bengal, Assam, Kolkata and so on. This is a great platform given by the Government of India for the minorities to showcase their art forms.
Some of the most unique art and crafts have been put on display at Hunar Haat, which includes stall that displays feather painting, where the artisan paints motifs and portraits on a feather, portraits made out of wires, handmade paintings, musician sculptures, wall hangings, lanterns made out of brass, wooden sculptured toys, vast variety of jute bags, carpets, mats, and beautifully decorated Rajasthani Katputlis. Apart from this, Odisha's traditional Patachitra painting, which only uses natural colors, were also part of the Haat. Hunar Haat also displayed special projects by women entrepreneurs which benefited under Pradhan Mantri's Employment Generation Program.
This year Hunar Haat not only showcased rich diversity and culture of the country, but also provided a vantage perspective of the various talents, artists and craftsmen all around the world. It also twisted with the idea of Ek Bharat, Shresth Bharat.
A Bawarchi Khana section has also been set up with traditional delicacies of several states available for people to savor. Besides this, traditional dance, music, qawwali and other cultural performances are being presented every day by renowned artists, which has proved to be a major attraction for the visitors. Hunar Haat is a perfect combination of indigenous art, craft, cuisine and culture, and economic empowerment of master artisans and craftsmen. It is an effective and successful mission to preserve and promote India's indigenous traditional legacy of master artisans and craftsmen, which was on the verge of extinction. Tripti Tripaঠি's report, DD India, Delhi.
And with that, let's now move on, take a look at the weather conditions across the country for today.
Well, that's all we have time for in this edition of Breakfast Show. But before we wind up, we always leave you with a positive thought. Today's positive thought is silence and smile are two powerful tools. Silence is the way to solve many problems. Smile is the way to solve many problems, while silence is the way to avoid many problems too.
Well said, Anil. And with that, we're also in fact leaving you with these glimpses, and these glimpses are from the Indian Army Southern Command investiture ceremony that was held at the Gateway of India in Mumbai. Take a look at that and wish you a great day and a great weekend ahead. Thanks for being with us.
Bye-bye.